Hello and welcome to Tricks of the Straight channel. Today is the 14th of February 2017, and today's video is about Zayn Malik. He's a singer. He has a song, and the song's called, one of the popular songs is called Pillow Talk. I don't really like the song myself because when I first heard it, it sounded like some sort of hypnosis, or some sort of song that puts you under hypnosis, and I don't want to be hypnotized. So even though it's a good song, but I just don't like it just for the fact that it sounds that way. Now, before I go further, as I always say, and I'll say it again, I'm not against anybody being transgendered. If it's your choice that you wish to switch your sex, your birth sex, which is not in a technical sense biologically cannot be done. It's just a mentality that people have. I mean, you can dream of fantasies, it doesn't make it real. And that you can switch your birth sex and say that you're not the sex that you were born with. I mean, that's what you do. You do you, right? That's your life. God has given everybody the ability to mess up their life. He can show you what's right and he can show you what's wrong. And even your senses tell you what's right or wrong because he instilled that in every human being. The ability to be able to judge between what's good and what's evil and to be able to know. But what I'm trying to show you is that there is an organized agenda of taking children, taking babies when they are born, before they can reach that age that they can make choices for themselves, that they mutilate these children, give them hormones, and force them to live in a sex that's not theirs. So this is what I am trying to show in my videos or in our videos on our channel. And I've pointed it before. I've pointed out the fact that the people who are in control of this is the Vatican. And if you watch a Prime, I will always refer you to a primer video. Just look for the video on this channel. It's called the primer video. And I'll always attach a document on every video that I make, on every video that we make, which will show you the visual differences so you could be able to distinguish between male and female. Because there's a lot of people on YouTube and which misinform you or disinform you. Misinform you in the sense that they don't give you the right or correct facts, or they miss out facts, so you end up being confused. Disinform you in the sense that someone could show you who's a tranny, and then at the same time he'll show you somebody else that's not. So by the time you look at the person who's not a tranny, you get confused. You're not able to distinguish between, is he male or is he female. What my channel will do is to properly educate you so you're not confused in any way, shape, or form. So like I said before and said earlier, right? The Vatican is in control. They are the people who are running things. They run Hollywood. They own the TV, the news that you hear. That's why you can't trust anything you hear or see on the TV, because chances are the person is not working in your own best interest. They are working to make money. And part of the reason being, like, as I've said before, and it's shown on my page, part of the reason is that besides the fact that way back in history that children, the kings and queens, were finding a way of trying to make people to be committed to them for life, to the agenda, they had a problem of trust. The only way they could do this to make sure that someone wasn't out to kill them, be it a servant or be it their relation or anybody else, was to take kids and castrate them. When they castrated them, it took away the ability of these children to live normal lives. Because when you castrate a man, for example, you take the ability of him living a normal life as a regular male away. And he can't function as a female either, because the females will know he's not female. He wouldn't be accepted. He can bear children. So what the kings and queens would do would be to mold the children or give them a false sense of reality, a false worldly view for them to live in, maybe create a society for them. And so this kind of false reality made them to be fit to be servants, political appointees to the king, because they have no life of their own. Their life, it becomes the life of the agenda or the reality that this kings and queens has provided for them. So, in another aspect, what led on was that during the Roman Catholic era, castrated boys had high pitched voices and had a lot of vocal range because of the fact that their lung capacity grew extremely large when you castrate a male. And so it became a form of entertainment and art. And when these boys became like, in today's pop culture, like we'd say pop stars or whatever, they had a lot of money and a lot of respect. So a lot of poor families started doing the same thing in the hopes that, their kids would be stars and would have money, prestige. And so that's what's still going on in today's society in Hollywood. And as like I said before, that the Vatican controls everything. They own everything. They've owned everything since the Great Depression, since 1913. Um, they Because prior to that time, before the Great Depression, what really happened was that the Roman Catholic Church was running everything in the late 1400s and 1500s. And after the Reformation by Martin Luther King and everything else, in which the Protestant movement came in, they lost a lot of that control and power. And so they've been seeking since then to gain that control back of running the world, of ruling the world. So that's why you hear terms like the New World Order. So the Roman Catholic Church runs everything, whether it be technology, politics. They always have something in it or somebody. So somebody might say if they don't run the Freemasons, but they do. At the topmost part, at the topmost hierarchy, they control everything. So even YouTube, like I own, at the end of the day, it's gonna be have a Vatican affiliation. They control everything, be it presidents, especially in the United States, like because they control the educational system. So if you notice, most of your presidents come from Georgetown University, is a Jesuit Catholic university. Most of the colleges, most of the hospitals, everything is Vatican owned. Like I said, they've owned it since 1913. And somebody may say, I'm saying too much. I know the video should be about Zayn Malik, but I'm just putting all this information out there for your own so that you can go ahead, and do your own research. Because, like I said, even the platform that I'm using will be Vatican affiliated. So I don't know how long this channel is going to be up here or how long it's going to be, they're going to let it run because they don't like truth like this and they might take it down. So if you can download the videos on your own, download and own it, re-upload it if you can. It's just information for you. So that's why I'm saying that you can't trust anybody on TV, because in order for them to be successful, they have to maintain the lie. So they'll never tell you any truth. It doesn't matter who the person is. As long as you see him on TV, in any shape or form, be it music, politics, entertainment, your president, the only way you can know that your president is working for your own good, if he tries to make sure that the United States, as the law had said, that they should be able to print their own money without debt. Because the Federal Reserve Bank is not a United States bank. It's just federal, as in Federal Express. It's not owned by the United States government. So Congress should have the ability to print its own money. So it's what has killed every United States president, be it Abraham Lincoln, be it JF Kennedy, because they were always trying to take the power of the Federal Reserve away, in the sense that the United States should be able to print its money debt free. The money we carry around in our pockets, or that banknote that we carry that says Federal Reserve Note, is printed with debt. So, for example, if let's say the United States government says, okay, we want $1 million, they have to go to the Federal Reserve Bank and say we need $1 million. The Federal Reserve Bank will print $1 million, let's say at a cost of $100,000, and that will be $1.1 million with $100,000 on top. then they add an interest rate, a yearly interest rate to the money. So when the United States government takes that Federal Reserve note out and starts spending it, in order to repay the debt that they owe to the Federal Reserve, they have to tax you, tax the citizens. So that's the reason why, for all the control and all these regulations and everything else, is to hide the fact of the people who actually control the money. And the most United States president are in cahoots with the people who actually control this. And and also and also that's how the United States has so much debt. So if Congress was doing what it was supposed to do, as the powers that were placed on them to print their own money, they would be able to print the money debt free. That means, for example, let's say you wanted to print let's say about 10,000 pages of any document. Let's just I'm giving you a typical example. You wouldn't owe that money to yourself. Nobody does business and owes money to himself. It's not logically correct. So the United States note is what the banknote or the dollar that you see should be on. That's what killed JFK. So if you look at what JFK did, he printed some United States note. You can tell the difference. You can do a Google search on it, and you'll see the United States note and you see a Federal Reserve note. There are two different notes based on how it's generated. Now, somebody may say that I'm saying too much. That is not true, but you only have to look around you. An example is like in Washington, D.C., there is an obelisk. If you've never heard the word obelisk, take a look. In the Vatican, you have the same obelisk. In London, you have the same obelisk, showing you who the true rulers are, that it's always been the Vatican. And another tidbit that I can give you, take a look at your Supreme Court justices. There are about 9 Supreme Court justices. If you go looking at their wiki pages and trying to find out who they are, you will see that 6 of them are Roman Catholic, or Roman Catholic trained, Roman Catholic universities. They have about 3 Jews on there, and the Jews serve as a smokescreen. So that's why the Jews have, like, the best jobs, and they get paid so well, and they make to run everything, because the brunt of the smokescreen, or the brunt of being the scapegoat, causes them to be paid that much more heavily. So that if you go trying to look into and investigating who's really running things, you end up with the Jews, and giving them that prestige and power makes them appear that way. And the Jews don't really have anything to say, because they're getting paid for it. The Jews are getting really paid. So that's why, like, the regular Jews wouldn't say anything. The top hierarchy knows what's going on. And there might be factions of those people kicking against, but they're really much, at the end of the day, working in cahoots. So with that said, I know I spend a lot of time rambling, but it's just trying to give you, a little basis of the reason why I'm doing all this. So let's go straight into Zayn Malik and show you what I'm trying to say. Now, here is a picture of Zayn Malik right here. And as usual, you would see that Zayn Malik here has an hourglass figure. If you follow my mouse, you will see that he has wide hips like a female. You can see the hourglass figure right here. Now, just to show you how a lot of pictures are Photoshop, you will see right here in this picture that Zayn Malik's body is clean without any tattoos, right? The tattoos have been taken off. I will show you the same picture again to show you how it works. So this is the same picture that you watched, that you looked at before, that you looked at previously. And if you can see, he has tattoos on this one, but you can still see the hourglass figure that a female usually has. So to show you what I mean, to show you how a proper female looks like and what a female looks like compared with Zayn Malik, we'll go down here and you look at this picture right here. You will see the hourglass figure of a female hips, and the indentation, that means the female waist, right? Where the female body is separated, the upper body is separated from the lower body. It's always above the navel. Here's the navel right here, and you can see it's above the navel. And it's the same thing that Zayn Malik has over here. As you can see, he has the hourglass figure, hips, and his indentation is above the navel. Now, let's take a look at another picture of Zayn Malik. Now, with females usually have a curvy tummy, right? The tummy always curves below into the pelvis because the pelvis is tilted forward for females so that they can support children and that the children wouldn't drop out of the pelvis when a female is pregnant. And a female also has an arch in her back, as you can see right here. Zayn Malik has an arch. The arch is to support the weight of pregnancy, of carrying children. So that's why a female's back is arched, for more support to carry the weight, as you can see right here. So I'll show you a picture just to show you what it looks like with difference between males and females. Now, if you follow my mouse, you see that males have a straight back. There's no arch. It goes right into the pelvis. Now, if you look at the female over here, follow my mouse, you would see that there's an arch right there, right in between where our elbows have. You see that deep arch into her back, and it comes right out into her pelvis, down into her buttocks area. That's what Zayn Malik has over here. He has an arch in his back, and he has a curvy tummy as usual, which females usually have. And I show you again here that hourglass figure that a female usually has, and Zayn Malik has the same thing, as you can see. All right, and here is another picture. Now, this particular picture is photoshopped, and one of the clues of Photoshop, like I always tell everybody, if you want to know if a picture is being photoshopped, it's the background. Because it's more like you taking a picture in a studio. That's why studios have plain backgrounds, so they could play with the light effects and play with the picture as much as they can and put it in shape and sizes. Just like if you watch like let's say a visual effects movie, the background is always plain so that you can do a lot with the image. So with this particular pictures, you can see right here he has hips. You can see right here. So they did a Photoshop to straighten this out, this area right here, so it would look straight like a male's back or male's side. But you can see that he has that hourglass figure at the hips. They couldn't do that because if they did that, it would distort the jeans he was wearing, and you could tell. Then that's when you could tell it's Photoshopped. So they added that, and then they added this deep harsh line that males usually have around their waist region, but you can still see the hips right here. And you can also, like I always say, another thing with females, that's why I recommend that you watch our primer videos and you download the documents that's attached to every video that we make. You can look for it just below the video. You will see that for a female abdomen, there's always a lot of space between the muscle area, right? So the reason for a lot of space biologically is so that when a female is pregnant, the muscles of the tummy can expand without discomfort, so they don't pressure the baby too much. Because with a male tummy, the stomach is flat and the muscles are all together, and straight, like well packed, right? With a female, there's always space in between the muscle area so the tummy can expand. So with that said, I will end this video right here, and I hope that you learned something useful. I want you to subscribe. You have the ability to reach us through messages on anything or any questions. We'll try to answer as much as we can. But like I said, I recommend that you download the attachment that we make on every video, and you watch the primer video. It will show you a lot of stuff and teach you a lot of things. All right, thank you. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.